In what is now the most expensive signing in the club's history, Real Madrid have finally completed the signing of Diomandé from RB Leipzig in a deal worth 140 million euros, and 125 of that is in fixed amounts and 15 million euros in bonuses. Diomandé is now going to be a player of Real Madrid for the next 7 years. But this deal is quite remarkable in a number of ways. Not only is Diomandé now the most expensive Real Madrid footballer in history, he is also the most expensive African footballer till date. Real Madrid paid a lot more for him than other teams have paid for people like Victor Osimhen, Mohamed Salah, Nicolas Pepe, even the Didier Drogba, the Samuel Eto'o, the Michael Essence of this world. He is now the single most expensive African footballer ever. Another interesting thing about this is the fact that Real Madrid rarely sign players from the African continent. I can count on the tip of my fingers the number of African footballers that have played for Real Madrid over the years, over like 30 years. There was Samuel Eto'o who got signed into the youth system of Real Madrid. He rarely featured for the senior team. Eventually, he was sold to Real Mallorca. There was Jeremy Ngitab, the Cameroonian. He enjoyed a lot more success than Samuel Eto'o. Between 2000 and 2003, he was player of Real Madrid. He won the league, he won the Champions League. Eventually, was sold to Chelsea. Then Real Madrid brought in Mamadou Diarra from Lyon. He enjoyed a lot more success than Jeremy and Samuel Eto'o. Michael Essien joined on loan from Chelsea. This is not a permanent deal. Emmanuel Adebayo also joined on loan from Manchester City. Eventually went back to City. Then we had the academic graduate Ashraf Hakimi, who also featured for Real Madrid. We had Brahim Diaz, who came from Manchester City, featured for Real Madrid. So since Real Madrid signed Mamadou Diarra on a long deal, now we have Diomandé, the young Ivorian, joining on a permanent deal. So we can't see there isn't really that much African footballers who have played for Real Madrid over the years. Then again, this deal itself came with a lot of twists and turns. At some point, it even got two of the most followed football transfer journalists butting heads. We had Fabrizio Romano and Florian Plettenberg at loggerheads, since Fabrizio Romano announced the deal. I think he announced a year ago that turned out not to be a year ago at the time that he made the announcement, and Florian Plettenberg made his own post that says, okay, this deal has not been completed, and there was some sort of back and forth with fans on Twitter picking sides on who they think got it wrong or right. So the deal itself came with a lot of twists and turns, a lot of dramas. One might ask what is really so special about Diomandé that got journalists butting heads, a lot of teams after his signature. PSG wanted him, Real Madrid wanted him, Liverpool wanted him, and they both came with huge, humongous amounts to sign this young Ivorian. For RB Leipzig last season, he scored about 13 goals, he made 10 assists. Most of his goals came in the German Bundesliga, but in all of the appearances I did for them last season, he scored 13 goals. He had 10 assists in that for RB Leipzig. But one interesting thing about him is that he could play on either flank. He could play either on the right, he could play on the left. I even see a situation where they can even deploy him centrally as well. He has this ability of being able to run late into the box and latch on to play some loose balls and slot it past the goalkeeper. So, quite interesting and amazing that a lot of teams are actually after a signature for someone who is not really that proven. But let's look at the old deal. Let's look at the new team is going to be playing for Real Madrid. Let's analyze it using the need, the fit, the value, and the risk involved in the signing. Need. The Real Madrid need Diomandé. I think the answer to this one is quite easy. Since Gareth Bale left Real Madrid, there hasn't been any world-class right winger that has played for the team. Real Madrid have had to use some makeshift players to play on the right wing. That was the time when it was Valverde, and there was Rodrigo, who I would say had a lot of success playing on the right wing for Real Madrid, to be honest. But we had Rodrigo, there was Valverde, Brahim Diaz also tried his best. Real Madrid brought in Masantuono from River Plate last season, but now he has been sent on loan to Fiorentina, so that wasn't also successful. Since Gareth Bale left, we've not really had that world beater, that difference maker on the right side of the attack for Real Madrid. So the need for someone like Diomandé cannot be overstated. Real Madrid needs someone with that can do the same thing that Vinicius Junior is doing on the right. Someone who can hold the ball, go past opponents, pick a pass, like a word that someone that you can trust to play in tight spaces, that can trust to unlock defenses, that you can trust to be very quick in transition. So this is the kind of quality that Yan Diomande is bringing into the team. Real Madrid have always needed in the past season. If there is one role where Real Madrid have needed a world beater, like a very huge investment into, is actually in the right side of the attack. So for need, I'm going to be scoring this in 9 out of 10. Real Madrid definitely needs someone like Yan Diomande. So for need, I think this is easy to see. It's an easy 9 out of 10. So for fit, does Yan Diomande fit into the Real Madrid team? I think this is also an interesting question. Yan Diomande is someone who can play on either flank. He could play on the right and he could play on the left. The expectation is for him to just come and slot into the right side of the attack because we already have Vinicius Junior on the left side, who is I mean you can't dispose him. Now we have Yan Diomande slotting into the right. He's someone who does not need space to operate. He doesn't need a lot of space to run at defenders. He could play in tight spaces. He can pick up defenders one-on-one. He actually had one of the best one-on-one completed take-ons in Europe's top 5 league last season, just behind Lamine Yamal. So it's somebody you expect to take on defenders, take them out, pick passes, try to shoot that goal. His finishing is also quite decent, you know, for someone of his height and who is with the way he plays. His finish is actually quite decent, and he's very good with both feet as well. He can use his right, can use his left, can finish with both. He's very fast, very fast with his leg, very nimble. So this is someone who I think is going to fit right into the team of Real Madrid. The expectation is for him to just come into the right, try to make things happen, try to run at defenders, unlock low blocks, finish when you can. One thing, the limitation I just see about his game is the fact that I've not seen him scoring with his head as much as he should be. With the kind of height that he has, you would expect him to be aerially dominant, but I've not seen him score too many headed goals. But with his right, with his leg, he's very good with both. He's very nimble. He can pick out passes. He can play on the right. He can play on the left. You can even play him centrally. He has this ability to arrive late in the balls, pick on the loose balls. He's also very fast. So even in transition, you can bank on him. You can imagine Real Madrid leading the counter-attacking with both Vinicius Junior, Yan Diomande, and Mbappe. That pace in that Real Madrid's attack is going to be very, very scary for opponents, especially those who want to play Real Madrid with a very high line. Like he can play with space, he can play in tight spaces, he can pick out passes, he can take on opponents, defenders one-on-one. This is going to be very perfect, a very right fit for Real Madrid. Some other limitations that I also see is the fact that it might not be able to. I've not seen him do much of scoring from outside the box. So ideally, what you would expect from a right winger is someone who can cut into the left and play this nice coiler, the kind of goals you would expect. I mean, Michael Olise and Iron Robben back in the days. Someone like Lamine Yamal also doing today, like cutting to the left and play that coiler from outside the box. So I've not seen that much of that from Yan Diomande's game, but it's something that he could develop. He's still quite young, so he can develop all of those aspects into his game. For feet, I'm going to be scoring this an 8 out of 10. Let's move to value. Yan Diomande was signed for 140 million euros in total package. The value is where I think this is a bit scary for me. For someone who is not that proven in European football, I think he has just had one full season as a senior footballer playing for RB Leipzig. His numbers were not so bad. In all competition for Leipzig, he scored about 13 goals. He made 10 assists, so 23 goals and assists contribution. Is not so bad, but he's only had just one season where we can actually see data to analyze his football to see how he does and how he plays. Now being signed for a record amount for 140 million euros, is it actually that worth it? Is Real Madrid paying for potentials in advance a lot more? So we've not really seen much. So what we would say Real Madrid have paid for now is potential, is future returns, not for what we've seen him do in the past. If this were to be a stock, you would actually say that this is actually a big no. You wouldn't want to pay for a stock based on what their future returns is going to be. You want to pay a lot for that in advance. Of course, you still want to pay for some future returns, right? But when you already paying for future returns like 10, 15 years returns today, then you should know that that is very risky. For value, really, I don't think is worth the amount that Real Madrid have paid for him, and that looks a bit scary for me. You are paying for a lot of potentials. Granted, he's still very young. He's 19. He can go on to be one of the top footballers ever in the world. But I think Real Madrid is already paying for a lot of that today. So for value, I'm going to be scoring this, unfortunately, a 5 out of 10. Finally, let's move to risk. What are the risks involved in this signing? I think I've already even said some of the risk involved. The value is coming for a record amount. Real Madrid have never signed any other footballer for this much. Diomandé has that weight on him. He's expected to come and make an instant impact. You've been signed for a record amount. Nobody's going to teach you, okay, this is how to shoot, this is how to score, this is how to take on your opponent. You are expected to come and make an instant impact. You're Galactico. You're a Galactico in the amount that you've been signed for. You should also show yourself to be a Galactico on the pitch. This is what is going to be expected of Diomandé. And that weight, that burden is going to be on him. Real Madrid have not won trophies in the last 2 seasons. Part of why you've been signed is for that to change. It's for you to come to Real Madrid and help the team win trophies. Real Madrid is going to be competing on 3 fronts. There's going to be the league, there's the La Liga, there's the Copa del Rey. It's going to be expected to make impact across all these competitions. The good thing for him is that Real Madrid also has someone like Vinicius Jr. There's Mbappe that can share the goal scoring burden with him. So at least with that, he can relax. But the amount that he has been signed for, he needs to justify that. It needs to justify that, and it's coming to a team that needs to win immediately. This is not a project situation. This is not, let's say, Arsenal when Mikel Arteta joined. This is not what Chelsea will expect from Xabi Alonso this season. This is not a project. You are expected to come and make an instant impact. And the amount that he has been signed for is going to be a weight on his shoulder, which I hope he is able to actually be. I hope he can actually rise above this body that I want to press him down and actually show the kind of footballer that he is, and his talent actually shines through, because this is what Real Madrid has, this is what they have paid for. So I hope he can actually shoulder this. He has a mentality to rise above this and make his talent actually shine. But the biggest risk here is the amount he has been signed for. The fact that he needs to come to Real Madrid and make an instant impact. There won't be too much time for him to say, to settle. He's not getting signed and getting sent to the Castilla like it happened for Vinicius Jr. when he got signed. He had the time to go to the Castilla and try to develop. But he's been signed for a world record amount. You're expected to come and make an instant impact. And I think that is going to be the biggest risk here. Also looking at his gameplay, he's very good at one-on-one. His finishing is not bad at all. I think he's very good at finishing. His decision making is great. He's very nimble, he's very fast, he's very quick-footed, very nimble. But one thing about his game that I've seen is the fact that he doesn't score too many goals from outside the box. Asensio gave Real Madrid this, back in the days when he was still at Real Madrid. He could give it that nice scorer from outside the box. Something we expect from Lamine Yamal, for example. So he doesn't score that much goal from outside the box. He has the height, and it doesn't really show that aerial dominance. So that is something that I would expect him to increase in his game as well. So that is like a risk that I'm seeing here. Something that he still needs to develop. The good part is that he is young, and you expect him to develop this aspect of his game. For risk, I'm going to be scoring this a 6 out of 10. So overall, what's my verdict? What do I think about this signing? I think Real Madrid got a gem on their hands. The fact that a lot of teams were after a signature is evidence to the fact that this is someone who is highly sorted in Europe. He has a talent. We watched him with Ivory Coast at the last World Cup. While he didn't necessarily light things up for them, I think he did fairly well. He did fairly well for RB Leipzig last season. We can see that the talent is there. His finishing is great. And this is something Real Madrid actually needs. So there is no need to create a space for him. There's a space for him to come and occupy in the team. I know starting places might also be something, because on that right, there is Brahim Diaz there. Masantono has been sent on loan, which is great. Hendrick might go on loan, we never know. But if Hendrick is not going on loan, then Hendrick is going to be looking at opportunities on the right as well, because opportunities might be few and far between for him in the center, where we already have Mbappe and Carlos SP. So they expect maybe Hendrick to also be a competition on the right. You might expect someone like Rodrigo as well to also be a competition for him on the right. But if he comes immediately and stamp his authority and actually make the reason why he has been signed felt, then I think he can actually stamp a starting berth on that right. The talent is there, like I said. His finishing is great. I think this might turn out to be a good signing for Real Madrid, despite some drawbacks in the amount that he has been signed for, and despite the fact that he can also have off days like we saw for him in Ivory Coast at the World Cup. But overall, I think I'm going to score this signing a 7 out of 10 for Real Madrid. I pray it works out. The talent is there. I look forward to making his debut in the friendly at first, then potentially or finally when the league opens, him making his competitive debut for Real Madrid. I expect him to also score a lot of goals for the team. I hope he does well. The talent is there, the ability is there, his finishing is great, he's very fast. He can play both right and left. He can deputize for Vinicius Junior on the left, which is actually quite great. There are times that Vinny might go out injured, or maybe he's not fit for some reason, and you can have he got red carded, he's out for one reason or the other. Then you can have someone in Diomandé that you know that can also give you quality output on the left. So I wish Real Madrid and Diomandé all the best. Let me know what you think in the comment section about the signing of Diomandé. I know there have been a lot of opinions, there have been people saying a lot of things on social media. Drop your comments when you see this. Like, share, subscribe. The likes are actually quite important, especially on YouTube, because it does a lot of good for the channel. It makes the algorithm knows that okay, something good is happening here, and they can recommend the video to a lot more people. So like, share, subscribe, and I'm going to be seeing you on the next one. Thank you and bye.